Hello, this is Watch It All About with another watch review. This time we're looking at the Christopher Ward C11 Chronograph, one of their budget aviator watches. Currently it's priced at £350, which has stayed that price since it was released recently, a year or so ago, a couple of years ago. It's a quartz movement, hence the low price for a Swiss-made chronograph. The movement is a Ronda 5030D, which does have some nice little unique features. So we'll look at that in closer detail. So we'll see if it really is a nice aviation-inspired, good quality watch for the price of £350. So as you can see immediately, it is a reasonably large watch. If I just put it on, it's 42 millimeters in diameter, the case is, but it has quite a unique case shape. It's not quite square and it's not quite circular, but it has it's mainly square, but the edges are notched off and it's got a nice curve to it. So it does wear quite large on the wrist, but it's not uncomfortable because it's extremely light because of the quartz movement. It's only 97 grams for the whole watch, which is very impressive. And also because of the movement, it's only 10.8 mil tall as well. So it does sit very nicely on the wrist, and it's just a really comfortable watch to wear for the size. It's quite impressive. I do very much like it. So let's start at the top then, really. The crystal is a sapphire crystal, but it's Christopher Ward special museum grade sapphire crystal, and the anti-reflective coating on this is brilliant. It's such a lovely clear crystal, and it really does set the watch apart from other watches in this price range. It's exceptionally clear, and you can see it's got a nice layer of anti-reflective coating as well. If you get the light just right, it does look very impressive. So the crystal is definitely one of the main selling points for me for this watch. It's brilliant. The case itself, again for the price, is very well machined, and it has lots of different little parts to it. This main bezel is brushed, and the top is brushed with these 4 feature screws in either corner. But then this shoulder is polished, which goes around the top corner like that. And then the rest is all brushed, but there's lots of little intricate angles. It's a very impressively designed and manufactured case. All the machining is spot on, and it's really quite impressive. So let me just take it off and we can have a look at the other side as well. So you'll see we have the crown. It's just a push-pull crown, and then these pushers, which are nice and big, oversized pushers. Showing you it working there, which gives a nice satisfying click. So let's start that going so we can see what happens later on. And the crown as well gives a nice decent feel to it when you push and pull it out. The case back is all brushed, 4 screws in either corner, each corner. And then we have this, we'll have a look at it in closer detail with the macro lens, but this is really impressive as well, this inscription. This means reach for the stars, this bit of Latin, and I believe is the RAF motto or something similar to that. And this is really quite deep engraving, which is impressive. Usually for a cheaper watch, you know, anything on the case back would be quite lightly etched, but not so for this watch. It's impressively deep, and you'll see that in closer detail later. So the strap is a very, very nice and comfortable leather. It's very supple, very soft. You can see there's lots of movement in it. The underside is lovely to wear. It's a 22 mil wide at the top, but as you can see there is a slight step into 20mm at the buckle, which is nice because having a 22mm strap the whole way can sometimes be a bit too much for some people on their wrist. And you notice as well it uses Christopher Ward's special quick release strap mechanism, which are these two little pins, and all you do is pull that pin and there you go, taking the strap off. It just basically squeezes the little inner pins together, so it makes changing straps extremely easy, which is something that I really love on Christopher Ward watches. So let's just put that strap back on, and that's it. As simple as that. You can literally change a strap within a minute and not risk scratching the lugs with tool marks either, which is brilliant. So that is another great feature. The buckle is nicely machined and nicely designed. You see it's got quite an aggressive angle, which sits in the strap loopholes themselves nicely, but it also means that it doesn't damage the strap much, because you can see that the strap doesn't go like that at really high angles, so it keeps it quite shallow, which means you don't get terrible creases. You see, I usually have it on the second hole, and I've had this watch for well over a year, and you'll notice that there's hardly any damage or crease to it, which is really impressive. I do also like the two little screws. Let me just take this off. Try and take it off. Also like the two screws on the buckle, which match the rest of the watch. And again, the Christopher Ward London is nice and deeply etched, which is again shows the quality of the watch. So the dial itself is very aviation themed, based on dials of planes, and personally I really like it because of the Ronda movement. We have the 3 sub dials, so we have it's a 12-hour chronograph. So this small seconds here is our normal running seconds for the time. The bottom dial is our 12-hour chronograph dial, and then we have 30-minute indicator on the right. Oh, on the left, sorry. What's interesting is, you might get to see it actually, when it goes past the minute, look at this dial here, it ticks over to the next minute. So usually you'd have the 30-minute dial very slowly rotating around, like at a constant pace. But with this movement, it's quite nice in that when it goes to the minute and goes past it, it ticks onto the next minute. And it's the same for this. You'll notice there that 5 minutes have elapsed, but that hasn't moved at all. So that goes around 30 minutes, and then once 30 minutes has gone past, that will tick onto the 30-minute indicator, which is in between the 12 and the 1, obviously. So it's all very definite minute and hour markings, which ultimately leads to quite nice and easy time reading, which is a nice little feature. I do quite like it. It's a little bit unusual. So all of these white sections, well, I say all of these white sections, the loomed sections are the 3 main numerals and all the hour markers, and then the 2 big hands and the second tip as well. The loom isn't that strong, to be honest, but Christopher Ward never really seems to do too well with their loom, unfortunately. You'll notice that there is a slight bit of depth to the dial, in that the sub dials are ever so slightly indented. When compared to the rest of the dial, you can sort of see it there. The 3 sub dials are in their own lower level, which is a nice little touch. Okay, so let's put the macro lens on and have a look at it in greater detail. So let's start at the buckle. You see the logo's nice and deeply etched. Then we have the screws. These are real screws, not just stuck on, because if we look at the underside, you'll see the end of the screw there. So that's a nice little touch. The general machining of the buckle is very good. So let's move on to the leather. The leather is very high quality, it's very soft, and it's got impressive stitching as well. That's the stitching on the underside. And then there's the quick release clasp. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual case itself now. So in each corner we have these screws. And here's the bezel machining, and then that polished corner, shoulder, and all the finishes are very accurate. The brushing is uniform throughout, and the polished finish is very shiny, very mirror-like, with no marks or anything. This is one of the pushers. Again, very good, impressive machining here. Here's the crown. Everything's very uniform. The logo embossed on the end. And then the lugs. And then let's have a look at the case back. So the case back, we have these 4 screws. The whole case back is brushed. Have the Swiss made and the serial number lightly laser etched on the bottom, but then we see how deep this feature of the case back is. See that? It's very well machined and looks and feels really great as well. So they've done a really good job on the case back. Okay, so all in all, for £350, I think it's a brilliant watch. I really enjoy wearing it, and for a couple of years, for a year or two, it's been my go-to watch. Because it's quartz, it's always running, and I just love to wear it because whenever you see it on your wrist, it has a lot of wrist presence, and it demands your attention, and it just feels really high quality for the price. So personally, I love it, and if you're considering getting one, then I would highly recommend it. So just finish off with some more wrist shots. For your information, I am about 7.5 inches as well on my wrist. Okay, so this was the Christopher Ward C11 Chronograph, and that's what it's all about.